Hi, and welcome to Dream in Color 72207. I'm Virginia Porta, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to show you how to make this fun card using a little wild stamp set, some embossing folders, your Big Shot, Stamparatus, and sponge daubers. So the first thing you're going to do is take a piece of scrap paper and use the framelit that comes with the little wild stamp set and make a template for your little lion. In the meantime, I stamped the little lion on a piece of scrap paper using crushed curry, stuck that into my Stamparatus, and then was able to locate the template over it. What that allows me to do is once I secure the template with washi tape or a magnet, I can come back and put the blanks, as it were, where I have cut multiples of that, and I can insert those into the template and simply stamp and go. This is great if you have a situation where you don't have great coverage on the stamp, or if you're making a lot of one thing. I cannot wait to use the Stamparatus when I put my Christmas cards together this year. That will be an incredible time saver. So that allows me to set that aside. That's what I'm getting ready to do. We're going to come back and work on those lions in a minute. The next thing we did was take the white embossing paste and color it with some of the reinkers. I did not have any crushed curry reinker, and so I used a little bit of Daffodil Delight and Sahara Sand and colored it to a point that it was close enough. Now with the embossing paste, you need to work quickly, but I used an acrylic block to make that my palette. And then I found also that if it got a little crusty, I could spritz it with water, and that would kind of I want to say it would help it. We put it that way. Re-moisten it. I use a little tool that I found on my desk to simply dab the embossing paste onto the line's mane to give it some texture. Just like the other times when you work with embossing paste, you're going to want to work as quickly as possible, and be sure you get to clean up as soon as possible. The acrylic block had to have some elbow grease and scrubbing to get that off. The embossing paste is a little forgiving on the actual stamped image, so I was able to go back and clean up some edges after I had gotten most of those done. I also did the lions the night before and let them sit and dry overnight. The next thing I'm going to do is take a 4 by 5 and a quarter piece of Very Vanilla and run it through my Big Shot using the Petal Burst embossing folder. Then I'm using sponge daubers, and I'm adding some ink to the edges and to highlight the embossing. I used Old Olive, Pear Pizzazz, and Mossy Meadow. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, your card base is a piece of 11 by 4 1/4 of Old Olive folded in half. Now, one thing about this embossing folder is there's so much dimension in it that you have to use tear and tape to adhere anything to it. So I've adhered a piece of Smoky Slate from the Starburst Punch, and you see me here putting on the tear and tape adhesive on the back of the embossed piece. There goes the Starburst, and then on top of that I'm going to use a 2-inch circle punch from Old Olive to add some color to that. And then there comes Mr. Lion, and he will be adhered with dimensionals. The next thing I do is add the leaf punches. It's a triple leaf punch that I basically picked up my greens off of my table that were some scrap pieces. This is a great way to use up scraps. I used some Pear Pizzazz, some Old Olive, I had some Garden Green. I might have even had some shaded, I don't think I had shaded spruce in there. Some of those were sponged with Sahara Sand and crumb cake, and you see them hanging off the card. What I'll do before I adhere the card to the card base is go back and trim those edges up. So you'll see me having a little trouble with the adhesives here, but eventually it all comes together. The last thing that you're going to do on this card is stamp the oh, I forgot. You're also going to stamp a sentiment on the front, and that is a piece of Very Vanilla with the sentiment stamp from that set. And all I did was freehand cut the speech bubble and then shaded it with a little bit of the crumb cake and adhered those with dimensionals. Now the last thing you're going to do is take another piece of Very Vanilla, 4 by 5 1/4, and stamp the inside of it. And that is the final card. Hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you back here again. All the details for the dimensions and the colors can be found in the descriptions below. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.